All right, so welcome to part 2 of the beginner level of email automation in Airtable. We're still just beginners here, but we can do quite a bit already.
Email automation in Airtable, beginner level, part 2. In this part, you'll learn how to send automated emails using the Gmail integration, create multiple email types using manual triggers, see why hard-coding email templates doesn't scale well, explore methods for handling more than one template, and recognize the limitations of simple checkbox-based triggers.
So in the last video, we looked at how to use Airtable's native sort of in-house send email action. Airtable also has its own in-house native integration with Gmail, so now we're gonna look at how to set that up. So we're gonna start out by deleting the previous action. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete that. The one that I usually use is the Gmail integration. Select Gmail, send email. And then you go in and you connect your Gmail account. I've already done it, but you can follow the steps to authorize. It's pretty straightforward. Same thing, so you go and you select two, so I'll select the person's email here. Subject, this can be dynamic, but for this, I'll just say test A. And then the message, same thing. So hi, we're gonna pull in the person's first name. Right? Kaba, blah, blah, blah. Best regards, Chris. And then you can run as configured, and that's gonna actually send something from my account. So now if I go to my Gmail, so I'll see that I've sent something to Emma. Hi Emma, blah, 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 best regards, Chris, right? One of the issues that I personally have with this method of sending is that you sort of have to hard code everything in the automation step. So if I want a new email, I have to make another thing like this each time. One way you can do that is you can go and create a new automation. So we can say, send email test B. You know, you could go and you could create another checkbox. So we could just say send email A. Send email B. Send email B, so you go in, add the trigger, when a record matches conditions in the people table, the condition is gonna be when send email B is checked. Choose record, there's nothing that meets the scope, so I'll go ahead and put Lucas into the scope. So I'll choose his record to test with. And then same story, you kind of go in, craft the email, right? There's another way you can do this. Instead of having a checkbox for each one, you could actually use a single select field. For example, you could, so a single select field, and you can name it something like send email. And then you could have different options to select here. So send email A, send email B. Then you could also have an additional field that serves as a confirmation step. So like, that could be a checkbox, could be a single select, it could be anything you want. We could call it something like, are you sure? And let's just make it also a single select. And this will just be yes, or no, maybe if you're not sure. Or maybe I have no idea. Who knows, right? So instead of having a checkbox, for this one, we'll say send email B. Are you sure? Yes. And once we hit yes, that's the trigger, right? So we go over to send email B, and now we're gonna rename this from send email B to just send email. Now we're trying to kind of scale this system so that we don't have to create a separate automation for every single email. So how does this thing trigger then? Well, it triggers when the send email single select field is not empty, and are you sure is yes. Okay. Now you might have some questions about that. Well, what do you do when you want to send something again? Don't worry, we're going to solve that in a later step. So send email is not empty. Are you sure is yes. So Lucas currently falls within the scope, of course, so we'll select him and let's continue. Instead of just going straight to send email or Gmail, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do conditional logic. Here's where you can branch things based on the particular template that you want to deal with. We're going to run actions in this group if send email is send email A. We'll do send email A first. Now we can add the action. I'm going to go with Gmail again. Now look, I mean, this is kind of the same thing as creating another automation, right? It's still virtually the same amount of work. So this is still not the method that I ultimately typically end up using in most cases. But for situations where you're just sending out a few emails in a base and you don't have hundreds of templates that you're dealing with, this is perfectly suitable. While I am calling this the beginner level, this method is appropriate for a lot of different use cases requirements. It can just feel a little bit cumbersome to have to go in and click all these things each time. But in the next tutorials, we're going to be looking at the different methods that you should use if you want to send out hundreds of different templates. But for now, since we just have a few, I'm going to go in and select my Gmail account again, plug in all the same variables. So it's going to go to the person's email. Subject, we'll just say test A. And then for this, we'll just do hi. First name again. Testing 1, 2, 3. Chris. Okay. So that is for send email A. Now we can add another action to this group. So here's the thing. As of the time that I'm recording this video in December of 2025, there's a limit to how many of these conditions you can have. And I believe now it's 25, right? Maybe that'll increase in the future. But for now, from what I've read, it's 25. And the total amount of automations that you can have in a base is 50. So for what I'm doing right now, that's perfectly sufficient. You know, if I'm just setting up 2 or 3 emails, it's not a big deal. So we're going to add another condition. So for this one, the conditions that we're going to be using, similarly, send email is, in this case, send email B. Add action, same thing. So we're going to be setting it up with the Gmail step. So I'll go ahead and do that. Selecting the person's email. Subject, test B. Hi, person's first name. Testing 1, 2, B. Thank you, Chris. Run as configured. We'll run the test. It looks good. Due to the fact that I've already triggered these things, the send email value is set and the are you sure value is set to yes. I want to clear those things so that I can send another email in the future. So we're going to go ahead and update the trigger record here. So we'll add another step here. And we will say update. Table we're updating in is people. And we're going to choose the record ID of the trigger record. Then we want to find those fields. So send email and just leave it blank so that it clears. Same thing with are you sure? Leave it blank so that it clears. The one thing that I've noticed is that you're not able to add this. You're not able to do this after this block here of conditional groups. So I couldn't put it here, for example. You have to do it after each one. I think you could just duplicate it. Yeah, you can. And then just drag that down. That somewhat simplifies it. Yeah, still, I mean, if you're doing a lot of these, that can get a little annoying. Anyway, so I think that that's good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. And then I'll just go ahead and turn off send email test A. So let's go out and test this thing. So let's send one to Mia. Send email A. Yes. So it should trigger and it should clear these things, which it did. Let's send one to William. Send email B. Yes. Let's send one to James. Send email A. And then let's send one to Harper. Send email A as well. So if I go to my outbox in Gmail, I see that all these things have sent. Hi, Lucas, William, James, and Harper. So pretty cool stuff. So you're probably wondering, well, I don't want to sit around and just like send these things manually, right? Like we need to have some sort of trigger here. Yeah, of course.